This video contains a century's worth of neuroscience research on how the brain reads, and I came to the conclusion, and so did these researchers, this is not just me, I'm just regurgitating this information, the 6 scientifically observed traits that skilled readers have that if slow readers apply them, they would become naturally fast readers with boosted comprehension, better memory, all these things. So let's look at, I'll be talking a little bit about preconscious processing, what happens with the brain while we read, how do we read even before we read that people don't really know about, the subconscious, unconscious level. I'll be summarizing what I've learned from all these speed reading books, 10 plus books. I'll also even be including what these speed reading books don't talk about, which is why I'm writing my book, to fill in those scientific gaps, right? So there are more books: the psychology and pedagogy of reading, the science of reading, the psychology of reading, language at the speed of sight, and cognitive science around reading. And later we'll talk about memory. We're not talking about this right now. So let's get into these scientifically observed traits. I've probably also read every meta-analysis and research paper out there on how the brain reads, what is efficient, and what are realistic goals around improving our reading. So number 1, skilled readers move their eyes rhythmically. All right, that's a thing that people don't really know about. Just think of it like in sports. People who move in a rhythm, nice and smooth in a flow state. People who are slow readers, their eye movements aren't very rhythmic. Okay. 2, skilled readers capture more information with every glance. So just by them looking at the paper, more information is pouring into their brain. That's just like having don't you want a bigger shovel when you're working on something? Just like with the book, you're digging for gold. But if you have a small shovel, it's not going to be fun, and you're not going to want to read. If you have a bigger shovel, it's just more enjoyable, it's easier, it's faster, more efficient. Next, 3, skilled readers activate their voice less. And this comes from that book that I just threw on the ground, The Psychology of Reading. They measured this by looking at their vocal cords in different parts of the body and noticing that skilled readers activate their voice less. Because when you look at a stop sign, did you have to say stop out loud in your head? If you saw your first and last name on a wall right there, did you really have to sound it out, think it out loud, or did you just know it? You just knew it at the unconscious level. Unconscious competence, I'm sure you've heard that. So we're moving from conscious incompetence to unconscious competence, where you don't even have to think about it. The information just pours into your brain. I've experienced that as someone who's hated reading, but then worked on training it. 4, you can increase your reading speed by expanding peripheral vision, training your peripheral vision. 4 different studies have shown a 39 to 41% increase in peripheral vision, improving reading speed by 39 to 41%. I will say it again. How did they do this? They did this by training. You have your immediate focal vision, your focus on this, and then training you to spot and detect information outside of it while still looking here. You can improve that with a thing called the Schultz table. Ask me about it. I should have it in a separate video. Also, just look at sports vision training. Steph Curry, what do they do? Athletes, what do? They expand their peripheral vision because it helps them be more competitive, get more information. Also, a lot of your brain on the superficial part of the brain, and most of your brain actually, is dedicated to visual processing. 5, skilled readers avoid word for word reading. Skilled readers do not look at each individual word like most people. If you don't know how to do that, keep watching. You really need this playlist then, because it takes time, but we can fix it. All right. 6, skilled readers avoid rereading regression. So in the meta-analysis, the largest one with over 18,000 participants, looking at thousands of studies, they came to the conclusion that there's good reading regression, there is bad reading regression. What is rereading? Sorry, regression. Excuse me, we're leaving that in the video. Bad reading regression is when you don't trust yourself that you got the information. You're just rereading things that you actually did get if you thought about it, but you're just over and over going through it. So how can you read if you have to read multiple pages just to realize you retain nothing? Next is good reading regression. What is that? That is when you go back and look at the top headlines or bullet points of that chapter you just read through to see the main points and start to build the structure and the skeleton of what you just read, looking at the main high-level picture. That is okay rereading regression and actually helps with your memory, okay? I've read the research. I'm not just going to say total regression just should be thrown out the window, because it is more complex than that. So these are the 6 scientifically observed traits of skilled readers. If you could apply them, use them, and get yourself to unconscious competence, and that's what I help people do. It just takes reps, right? It takes reps. It takes you applying the CEO reading method, which you saw me talk about in the past video. And that's it. The next thing we'll cover is the 5 memory myths that are holding you back from remembering what you read.